Hey everybody, it's Ginny, and this is my da-da-da-da, 1 year post-op VSG update. Amazing. Not only is it my 1 year update, which I can't believe it's been a year already, it's gone by just insanely fast, but I have a major milestone to announce, and if you're watching my last week's video, you probably are going to guess what I have to say. So, I finally broke my stall, and I am under 300 pounds for the first time that I can ever remember. I'll talk some more about that in just a second, but let me give you some numbers. So last week I was 303.8 pounds. This week I am 295.2 pounds, so that's a loss of 6.6 pounds or about 3 kilos this week. And my total loss now is 304.8 pounds or 138 kilos. And since I had my surgery, which was the 28th of March 2015, so almost exactly a year ago, I've lost 193 pounds or 87.5 kilos. 193 pounds, 87.5 kilos in a year is just, wow. I mean, even for somebody who started at a relatively high weight, and people who started at higher weights usually lose faster, that's astounding. And like I mentioned to you guys last week that I was going to try eating keto. I kind of thought that it might break my stall for me, and that's exactly what it did. I'm not even 100% sure that I wasn't already in ketosis with the carb levels I was eating, but it was kind of more moderate carbs. And I think one of the things about going low carb and very low carb is the first thing your liver does is get rid of its glycogen stores, which can really result in some dramatic rapid weight loss pretty quickly. And but it also, if you already don't have that, if I was already in ketosis, it can result in some rapid fat loss, taking your carbs down. So that's what I did. And it seems to have worked really well for me for this week at least. I said I was going to give it 2 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. We'll see. I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can. I may even try to do it until I get to my goal. My goal is only 45 pounds away now. So I may just do it till I get there, and then start adding in some more complex carbs, upping my carbs a little. I find it really effective, but I also find it really hard to live with long term. 20 grams of carbs, even though I am counting net carbs, 20 grams of carbs is not a lot to live with, and I like a little more variety in my diet than that really allows for. I love meat, I love cheese, but I don't want my diet to be only meat and cheese. And I do everything I can, even when I'm doing keto, to really try to incorporate as much freshness as I can, but it's not very much. Like some fresh veggies, some fresh fruit, like lower carb fresh fruit, but it has to be very little. And I miss that when it's not a staple. So, after surgery, it's been all about protein for me anyway, so this is pretty much in line with that anyhow. This isn't stepping on my toes too much, but I feel like over time it would. So yeah, I'm gonna do it for now, and if it starts being a problem, then I'll very gradually start incorporating some more good carbs back into my diet, and we'll see what happens. If my weight loss slows and I'm not at goal yet, I can always take them back down for a while. So that's the thing about this, is I didn't realize how much trial and error it is, and like how little definitive information there is out there on what works post weight loss surgery and what doesn't, because everybody seems to have a different plan, like a different diet that they follow, and we all just have to figure out what works for us. So anyway, very excited about that. And like most people, I think, might not be so excited to get like under 300. That might not be such a milestone for most people, but most people didn't start where I did, over 600 pounds or 272 kilos. You know, um, that's pretty unusual. And I honestly, like, I wanted to just talk to you guys briefly about how I'm feeling about that. I honestly did not think that I would get here. My plan was originally to have the DS, the duodenal switch surgery, and that's actually why I picked the surgeon that I picked. He's one of the only like truly qualified surgeons in Australia to do this surgery. And he basically looked at me and said, I can't do it on someone your size. And at the time that I met him, I was still 500 pounds, probably 230 kilos or so. And he was like, you're too, like, I wouldn't feel safe doing it on you. So you're going to have it in two parts. You'll have the sleeve, you'll lose as much as you can with the sleeve, and then we'll do the duodenal switch on you after, you know, at a later date. So that was the plan. And, you know, I've talked to a few people who also started at similar weights and had the sleeve, and it's not uncommon for people to really like get down to about 350 or so and really struggle to get any further. So I expected that to happen to me. I expected to have a second surgery, and I'm not saying I'm not going to have to now. I could. I don't know. But I'm trying really hard to make it to my goal without doing that. I don't need to be under 250 pounds. 250 pounds is my goal, and that's not me selling myself short, as somebody told me. That made me so furious. That is me being realistic. Like, if you take a person who's 600 pounds, and by the time I hit 250, I will have lost 350 pounds. That's an enormous, enormous amount of weight to lose. And, you know, I set my goal along with my surgeon, and both of us feel like this is a realistic goal for me. I might actually try to get a teeny bit under it just to give myself a little wiggle room, but 250 is smaller than I ever remember being. I remember being 12 years old, and maybe 11 or 12, somewhere in there, and getting to the goal weight that my grandmother had set for me. And she and my mom got me all like dressed up, and I did my like makeup as only an 11 or 12-year-old can, so it was a disaster, but I thought I looked beautiful. And we all sat down to have breakfast, and we were going to do photos of me afterwards at my goal weight. And we all sat down to breakfast. I, you know, served myself some eggs. I served myself a piece of bacon. And I had eaten what was on my plate, and I was still a little hungry, so I reached for a second piece of bacon, and I got my hand slapped. And I was told, you know, don't do that. If you keep eating bacon, you're just going to get fat again. Like, everybody else at the table was having bacon, but no, I wasn't allowed a second piece. And they were all having 2 or 3 pieces. And like, little 11 or 12-year-old me at that moment went, this is never going to be over. I'm going to have to diet for the rest of my life. My body is never going to be good enough for anybody. I'm always going to be fat. And it was at that moment that something snapped in me, and I started sneaking food when I could. I started hiding food. I started eating in secret. That's sort of when my eating disorder, I guess, started. And, you know, I was 120 pounds that day, 12 years old. And between the age of 12 and the age of 11 or 12, and 15 years old when I went to high school, so maybe even 16, it might have been my sophomore year, 3 or 4 year period, I gained from 120 pounds to 320 pounds, 200 pounds, for someone who can't like drive anywhere, like to get their own food, that is just astronomically mind-blowing. Yeah, so that's about 50 pounds a year that I put on during that time frame. And there was other stuff going on in my life as well, which probably contributed to the eating also. But I really, thinking back on it, I'm shocked. And I don't remember being 200 anything pounds. I don't remember being 180. I don't remember being 220. Like, I don't remember being 250, 275. All I remember is 120, 320. And though I do have a distinct memory of getting on the scale at the gym with my grandmother, and like with her watching and her being just like, her acting like the world, like when I went from 100 to 200 something, when I passed that mark, like I don't remember what that weight was exactly, but I remember her acting like it was the end of the world, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so fat. Oh my God, I'm 200 pounds. Who's 200 pounds? Like, who is as fat as me? Like, holy crap. And, and that sort of cemented my feeling of, I'm never going to be good enough. This is never going to change. And it just snowballed. Like, every time I would hit a new milestone, I would feel like a new mark of like 200, 300, like I would feel awful, but I would also feel hopeless. Like there's nothing I could do. Like it was a snowball rolling downhill. So like I was saying, between 12 and 15, 11 and 15, like somewhere in there, that's when all this weight gain was going on. That's when I was in the 200s, and I have no memory. Like, I've never been this weight before as an adult. Never. So when I think of myself right now and I think of my weight, it's like, it's very foreign to me. It's like I can't match who I am, who I feel like I am, the person that I've always been with this number. And obviously numbers don't identify us. Numbers aren't who we are, right? But if you know that you're 5'2", and one day you wake up and somebody says to you, are you aware that you're 6'2"? Like, you've been going around saying you're 5'2", but you're actually 6'2". Like, can you imagine how weird that would feel? Like, wait, what? So the 200s feel very foreign to me and very strange. And while I'm very proud of the work that I've done to get here and what it means for my health and what it means for my ability to move around in the world, it feels weird. And I'm happy about it, but it feels weird. And I'm going to have to relearn who I am and what the heck it all means to be this size and be me. That's going to be tough. But yeah, it's a really good feeling knowing that I have made this milestone that I have waited for so long, and what a difference it's made in my life. And I've talked to you guys before about all my NSVs, all the changes, all the things I can do now that I didn't used to be able to do. So you all have a handle on that. But I really just want to say thank you to everybody who has supported me through all of this. To all of you who watch me ramble on every week, you're amazing. And I am really grateful to be where I am, and really thankful, especially to my husband who has supported me through all of this, and the rest of my family as well, who's never given up on me. And like I've been saying the last several weeks, I am going to be on The Naked Truth this Sunday. So I'm posting this on Friday, Australian time, and I'm going to be on the Naked Truth Sunday, U.S. time, Monday, Australia time. So U.S. time, it's 5 p.m. Pacific, which I believe is 8 p.m. Eastern. Check if you're not, check if you want to make sure, but I'm pretty sure. And that's also 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So Sydney, Canberra, Melbourne, those places, that time zone. So I know most of you are probably going to be with your families if you celebrate Easter. You might be out chasing bunnies or trying to run away from, whatever scary things. I don't know. That joke just went really awry. So you might be busy. That's perfectly fine. But if you are available, tune in. The naked You can search for the Naked Truth on Facebook. The logo is the words "The Naked Truth" with a little measuring tape squeezing it. And if you aren't already following that page, and they will post a link to the live YouTube stream just before it happens. So yeah, and if you have any questions that you would like to see me asked by the two lovely hostesses, who are amazing people, really looking forward to spending some time chatting with them, you can post it on their page. You can message the page however you want to. Just get your questions to them. Or if you follow Liz, Finding Elizabeth, you can get her your questions as well. So since she's hosting, obviously. If you can't watch the Naked Truth when it's streaming live, it will be posted. The recorded version will be posted on YouTube, so you can go back and watch it later. So yeah, and if you're a new subscriber, welcome. And if you have any questions for me, and the Naked Truth is already over, and you're like finding this a few days later, feel free to post them below. I'm happy to answer any and all questions, and welcome. All right, everybody. I'll see you next week, but I'm not going to have nearly as exciting news, I'm sure. All right, bye.